Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Multifamily Legacy Podcast. I'm your host, Corey Peterson. We have got, this is episode number 41. And this episode is going to be all about how to take relationships and take them to the next level and how they can truly, really enhance your money-making capabilities in life, in business. It's the relationships that count. And I want to introduce some of my great friends that we've got a great story to tell. And this is Matt and Greg Sneyd of Salt Lake City in Utah. And they're big-time investors. They've taught me the business. They taught me the wholesaling business. You guys taught me a lot of things.
Yeah.
And it's funny because now I'm teaching you guys a little things on apartments. So welcome to the show. And that was a really crappy introduction, so I'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
It's not too bad. But thanks for having us. I appreciate it, and good to see you doing all this stuff, and we're happy to be on here.
Cool.
Intro for ourselves. I mean, at least a brief, the short and quick and dirty version of what
we go long version. I mean, I got time.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, we started in wholesaling back in the very, very, very beginning, 11 years ago. We went to a on the Grand course, 5-day quick turn boot camp. And
Matt was working in the car wash and going to university at the time.
Yeah. And quickly realized that, one, I didn't like school, and two, that I liked this business. We did a couple really good deals right out of the gates. Made me feel real good and cocky about myself at 19. And then the crash came and was a nice gut check and an ego check for me. From there, we learned how to do short sales. I became a real estate agent. We did rehabs. We did some rehabs before the downturn as well. And had some right as it was turning, which was not fun. And then got back into rehabbing, wholesaling, did some high-end remodeling, started acquiring rental properties, then started to get into new construction because some of the wholesales we found had the potential to be subdivided or compiling pieces of land together. Got into new construction, then got into high-end new construction because we like nice stuff, so we like to build nice stuff. And then from there is kind of where we're at now. So we're phasing out of new construction. We're doing some development, land entitlement and development, highest and best use stuff, which is kind of our active money. And then we're converting all of our active money into long-term money, long-term wealth. And,
legacy. Legacy wealth, baby. So let's tell them our story, dude. Let's tell them how we met, because I've known Matt and Greg for, I want to say it's 8 years, maybe 9.
Probably closer to 9,
Yeah.
Because Matt, right when you were,
I think 21.
You just turned 21.
Yeah, I mean, I know we ended up meeting on the trolley and then going to a bar. So I was 21 at least. Maybe 21, 22.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he was 20 and he just never got carded.
Yeah.
So we met. So I met Greg and Matt. We went to a Karen Hanover apartment. DC Faucet was launching this. If you guys remember, DC Faucet, Karen Hanover. Yeah. We won't talk about that event but it was honestly the biggest event I've ever seen for affiliates, right? It was in the, what arena was that in? Where did they have it in?
They switched the venue twice because it kept filling up the venue they were at. But I don't know, it was almost like a country music hall.
It was where John Travolta did the big
Urban Cowboy
thing.
Yeah.
That place was gigantic, dude. And I've never seen so many people in one spot in a venue coming to learn about real estate. That's the biggest I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I've never seen one bigger. Yeah. And dude, it was like a frenzy, nuts. Like people would pitch and they'd be like, and you need to go the first 20 people that come to this spot, and you want to talk about a crowd rush. I mean, oh my God, dude. Somehow in that event, but it was like a 4-day event, 3-day event.
Yeah.
And so it's in downtown Dallas.
Right.
And so I'm there by myself, all by myself, trying to find other investors like you do at every seminar you ever go to, like who's some players that I can like figure some stuff out with.
Yeah.
Trying to learn on multifamily apartments. And it's end of the night. I'm going to go out to where all the cool people hang out.
Yeah.
And they're on the corner of a corner waiting for the bus. I meet Matt and Greg.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny 'cause there was no one else at the trolley. I think you were already there. We rolled up, the trolley rolled up, and then like the three of us got on and sat next to each other. And it was like, one of us was like, so what are you doing here? You know, where are you from? And you're like, oh, from Arizona. I'm here for some course. And we're like, oh, really? We're here for a course too. Which one? And just so happened that we were at the same course.
And dude, ever since then, we've known each other. I mean, we've kept in contact like tremendously.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went out, we had drinks, we got some dinner, we spent the whole entire night together, got to know each other, and then kind of that was like we became buddy because in that sea of how many ever 1,000 people were there, it was almost hard to meet people because there were so many people. You couldn't find the players because there was too many people in general.
Hey, I tagged you guys just farther down the road than I was, so I was like, man, I'm just gonna grab onto their coattails and see what they know.
Well, the interesting thing about that is that you meet a lot of people. I mean, you go to a lot of seminars and you meet a lot of people, but very few of them do you actually really click with, right?
Yeah.
Like you're on the same wavelength. You know how to have fun together. There's this certain vibe that happens, right?
Yeah.
And when you get that vibe, it keeps drawing you together, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's always been with us. We've always drawn one another together, and we've gone on of our way to get together since then.
Without a doubt.
We got together. If we're flying into Phoenix, we always get together with you and Shelly. You know, we're always doing stuff together because we have a lot of fun together.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like you've got to find people that you can have fun with, right?
It's very hard to do.
I know you gotta, but they also have to be like really hard workers. They gotta have smarts. All those things have got to come together. But on top of that, you got to be able to have fun with them, right? You got to laugh, right?
Well, it's hard to do in this business it's hard to find people that are on the same level or even in the same mindset as you, whether on the higher level, lower level. When you start to get into it, you realize it's kind of a lonely world. And if you're not sharing your successes or being able to talk to people about it and they have similar successes, you almost, I don't know, it just doesn't jive all the time and it kind of feels lonely. So it's nice to find people that are at your level, even if they're halfway across the country.
Amen to that. Hey, Matt, are you 30 now?
I'm 31 now, yeah.
Okay, so dude, this has been 10 years. We've known each other for 10.
Yeah.
There's without a doubt, I know it's 10. Because now here's what's crazy. So I remember in my mind looking at a father-son, just so you guys, just in case you were wondering, if you're watching this on YouTube, this is father and son. They share the last name, Sneyd. I just learned how to spell it last week. I've known him for 10 years. I've been spelling it wrong. I've been saying their name wrong for 10 years. This year, 2018, I made it my goal to say it right and spell it right.
Yeah, it's not an easy one, but we make sure all spellings are hard. Even our company name, no one knows what it says. So.
But I remember watching you guys. I mean, what I saw was, I was like, man, that is so cool. Because I had a young son, and I'm like, man, I only wish and just that my son wants to do real estate and to be with your dad and be on the journey. Like you guys were on the journey just like I was, but you guys were doing it together. Yeah. And you had wisdom of a father and the youth and like entrepreneur, like let's go get it as from a son.
Yeah.
And it's always been in a way that way. It's a very unique dynamic. I've not seen very many people that do it well, and you guys do it amazingly well.
Thank you.
Right? Your guys' relationship is amazingly like solid. And you just don't see that for very many father-son deals. But
I mean, that's probably the
Greg,
number one thing people come up to us at seminars about is because whether they run into us or go to dinner with us or we're up on stage or whatever it may be, they always come up and they're just like, oh, like what you say, like, I want my son, I want that relationship. How do you guys do it? Da, 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 da. I mean, it's a unique thing. I mean, a lot of people get into business with family and it goes sour fast. And so, yeah, it's very unique. We're very appreciative and don't take it for granted.
But the thing about that is that it doesn't always happen that you and your son or you and your daughter are on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been very fortunate that we think a lot alike. He's got certain strengths, and I have certain strengths, and we can play off one another. He's had a desire since day one to do this, okay? I mean, I invited him to a seminar because I had a free ticket, right? And and it just happened that it worked out.
Well, it was good because I had just gone for a interview to go from like the detail bay, which is already kind of the higher part of the car wash, to supervisor, and I didn't get it because of some technicalities and stuff, and I was pissed off. I mean, I was like, screw this, I'm not going this traditional route. And this popped up, I'm like, hell yeah, let's do this.
Oh yeah. That's awesome.
So even that relationship, we're talking about relationships today. Even that relationship, everything has got to be in alignment, right? The stars have got to set up right. I mean, I've got great relationships with my daughters, but my daughters are not going to be doing this business with me, okay?
Right.
I've had the right personality, the right fit to do that. Our relationship, it was the right fit, right? But you have to go and you have to be finding these good fits, because the only way that you are going to really go above and beyond is to do it with other people that you fit well with.
Yeah. Well, and that leads us into the segue of probably, I want to give a little more flavor too on what we've done too. Like, so, and also to let everybody know that, like, so just so if you're wondering, Matt and Greg are ballers. Okay. These guys are 7-figure guys. They didn't really give me any figures or numbers, but they do a lot of business, and they've done a good amount of business. And in fact, for the longest time, I feel like you guys were coaching me, because I felt like I was always a little bit behind the 8 ball when I was doing fix and flips. You guys had learned how to do short sales before I did. So I've always been playing catch up, trying to figure out like which you guys had already like kind of figured out a little bit. Right. And that's really been a good half of our relationship was you guys were really feeding me.
Yep.
Like, Corey, hey, we care about you. We like you. Here's some things we figured out. And hell, you guys gave me my first credibility kit.
We did. I mean, we were always
or my private money program.
Right. We always wanted to share with you, whatever we had, we shared. And now you took the leap, you did multifamily. We weren't ready for that, and now you're sharing that with us. So it's we all.
Hey, isn't that cool though? So yeah. for everybody, so here's what's cool. So 10 years in the making, about 5 years into the gamut of wholesaling and fixing and flipping, Peterson truly decided to take a stage left, and that's where I was like, man, I'm going to do multifamily. And so I started buying some multifamily and really kind of took a trajectory that way. And about a year or two in the multifamily business, I was still needing income, right? And I went to Matt and Greg, and they showed me how to market doing wholesale business, right? And paid you guys some money. You guys just laid it out on the table, and dude, it helped me immensely because it solved a short-term problem for cash flow, right? Yep. And then you guys have been, like you just said, you figured out development. And the one thing I'd always admired about you guys is that, Matt, you've made this statement numerous times, I believe, is like, take what the market's giving you.
Yep.
Like, speak about that, because people need to hear that crap too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know when or why it stuck with me, but I guess I like to do things the easy way. And therefore, as we started to get into business and we would run into something, I don't know, I guess it was, you see sometimes has better insight about what I do because he's watching from an outside perspective than myself. But like, I think early on, I just started to not like when we were turning our wheels and not getting traction. I'm like, okay, there's got to be an easier way. Like, you know, life hacking and figuring things out. That's kind of my thing. Like, there's a long light and 2 turn lanes, 2 left turn lanes to go left of the light. And like in our city, there's tracks on one light and then there's not tracks, but there's people driving the tracks as the trolleys, right? So there's people driving the trolleys. You can go in the trolley lane and the trolley is not going to hit you. And so people get scared and nobody's in that lane, but there'll be 30 cars in this lane to turn left. I'm the guy that goes in the trolley lane, goes up to the front of the line. You know, I'm not going to be the one that follows the sheep and all that kind of stuff. And so whenever we run into a business model that doesn't seem to be working, I quickly go, okay, let's take a look. Let's take a step back here and look at this business model and see what else we can do, or if we can do something different, or if the market's giving something, and talk to a couple people. And I'll start, you know, go to 3-4 lunches a week with everybody in our market and make calls to people like you and other markets to see what's going on. And that was invaluable for us to make shifts at different points.
I think what really got us into our first shift was in the crash. Okay, so we'd been in the business since 2006, and we'd done a few flips. We'd had some good success, and then the market changed. Okay, and we went, oh crap, what are we gonna do, right? And it forced us to look at what we were doing and say, we can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
The market has totally changed. And so that made us shift into short sales, and we learned that whole business. Like, just, we knew it so well.
Yep.
And it took us, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 months to actually make a deal that worked. But then we took off on that. And then short sales kind of weren't as great anymore. More people getting into it, not as many deals. And so we had to shift again. And what we found is that just about every 2 years, we have to shift. And so we've got programmed for that. Now we're looking, and once we've been in the business for 2 years, doing the same thing, we go, okay, what are we going to do next? Now that also gets complicated with the fact that Matt and I are kind of like, we get bored of doing the same thing, right?
A little bit of
ADD. Once we've done something for a couple of years, it's like, what are we going to do next, right? And then you do from short sales, then you do wholesaling, and then you do a lot of different other types of flips, and then you do development.
Then you start doing some bigger deals.
Yeah, all of this stuff. And I'll tell you, one of the biggest things that caused one of our biggest shifts was we were at I think it was at Collective Genius. We were there, and somebody talked about adding a zero to your profit. So most people in the flip business they're trying to get $30,000 as their profit, right? Yeah. And someone said, what if you added a zero to that? And you said, how do I make $300,000 on a deal, right?
That may have been Jack Boss that I think that had that presentation.
It could have been.
Because I remember, because it was like add a zero to what you're doing, right?
Right, and we came back and we said, we need to do that. And we made a shift, and we did that. And now what we're saying is, okay, you can shift by adding a zero to 30,000 to make 300,000. What's to stop you from adding a zero and making 3 million?
Adding one more, baby.
Exactly. And so, when you were doing your stuff and you had your ups and downs going through the path, right?
Yeah.
But in the last little while, it's all been coming together, and it's like, this is a way to add another zero.
It's crescendoed. So it's funny because, I didn't realize that there is a process, right? Of you find a good asset, you operate, you make some cash flow, but it's not a lot in the beginning. It all depends. And then when you incubate that thing for 5 years, and when you incubate it right and you keep growing the NOI, there's a point in time where you can honestly sell it. And like we, I sold my property. I made a crap ton of money.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my gosh, like, whoa. And then, luckily I had a couple more deals in the pipeline too. And now those are starting to get incubated. Now they're starting to really cash flow. And now we're here. We're getting ready to do, we're going to do a deal together. So like Hawkeye Towers, we're doing this deal, Hawkeye Towers. I found it. And this is the great thing about multifamily. And this is why I truly love it, is because I have friends like you and Matt where like, why not? Why wouldn't I call you and say, hey, listen, I've got this deal. Let's do it together. Because honestly, it's a team sport. And there's enough spoils to make you money, to make me money, that we all can get paid and have a good time doing it.
Right.
And share in the load of work.
Yep. Yep.
And have fun doing it.
Which is raising private money. I mean, the work is truly raising private money.
Yeah.
To share, and you guys are going to help me raise capital for this deal. And like, we're going to close, and we're going to have a $10.6 million asset together.
Yeah.
And I couldn't think of a couple guys that would rather do it with.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's that easy. And when we're said and done, now, and I don't know if this is true or not, but like in my magical, like in my little voodoo ball that I'm looking at, I think when we sell it, I think we make 10 million.
Okay.
Profit.
I'll hold you to that.
I'm not even crapping. I know our numbers don't project that.
No.
But I'm just going to tell you, I think we'll sell this property at a 4 cap.
Yeah.
I really do. And I think we will make, if we hold it for, we'll probably hold it for a bit longer, maybe 7 or 8 years. But there'll be a time where when we're ready to sell, we are going to be so fat on it.
Right.
And why not?
Yeah.
Well, and the way we look at it is that, okay, this is our first multifamily deal. One that we actually are raising money for, owning. I mean, we've been involved in other deals, but smaller stuff.
Right.
This is the first big one we've done. But this is certainly not the last. I mean, we want to get this one put to bed, and then find another one, and just keep doing it. Because why not? Once this has been put to bed and it's closed and we own it, and AFI is doing the management on it, what is there for us to do?
Like wash, rinse, and repeat.
Yeah.
Right. Go get some more money.
And that leads us to the next discussion of OPM. Because a lot of people used to say, hey, Corey, go find the deal. And finding deals are important. I believe that. But, dude, the real bread and butter in this business, in the syndication business, is finding the money. Yeah. He who can produce capital. But it's honestly the same thing, which was what we're talking about, is relationships.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, yes. When you are going out and talking to people about Hawkeye Towers, you're talking to people, number one, who know, like, and trust you, first of all.
What we call BLT. So believe, like, trust. If they don't believe, like, and trust you, you're going to have a hard time getting anywhere, no matter how good the deal is. I was meeting with somebody earlier today about the deal, talking to them about commercial and if they wanted to be active or passive and all that kind of stuff. And they go, well, what's been the key to raising capital? Did they say one deal compared to the next? Does it make it easier, this and that? I said, has nothing to do with it. It's all dictated about the relationship that you have with those people, how much they believe, like, and trust you. And the deal has to be good. The numbers have to be good. We wouldn't be doing the deal if the numbers didn't pan out. But two good deals next to each other, of somebody who doesn't have good relationship versus somebody who does, you're going to get money a lot easier. And the good thing about our business is, we haven't really talked about this much, but we focused really heavily on branding in the early part of our business, where we did a lot of marketing. We brought a lot of people in as private lenders on our smaller, quicker deals where they come with 50 grand. And the next day they're like, that went well. Can I bring 100 grand? And then it turned into a couple $100,000. And then we're, giving them referrals on how they can use their self-directed or turn their IRA 401k into money and keep re-upping. So now we're at this point where we've got money that's already been trained and is used to us, and we can convert a lot of that while we're also keep building more and more and more relationships. And guess what? The foundation of that is also integrity. We've always done what we say we're going to do. We've always paid back our private lenders, and that's always been told to us, thank God, through all the trainings and seminars we went to, is always make sure that those OPM guys are your number one. And it's more
take care of the money, and the money takes care of you, right?
Well, and then they start talking to their friends. You know, I was talking to one of our lenders, and she said, well, would it be okay if I talk to some of the people that I know that have money, because this sounds like a pretty good deal and maybe they'd like to get in? And I said, sure, you know, let's get in. But by the same token, you know, the relationship that we have with you and the relationship that we all have with AFI is extremely important to this deal, okay? Because smart people, I mean, if you're putting in $100,000 or more into a deal, you're not just not doing any due diligence. You're going to check these people out, right? And so even if they like us, they want to know who you are, and they want to know who AFI is. Just like, you know, a couple of our investors who you've been talking to, they called you up and said, you know, Greg says you're in this deal. You know, who are you? What do you do?
Yeah.
You know, of course, after talking to you, they're even more solid coming into the deal. But, you know, I talked to another one, John Barbie, today. You know, he needs more information on AFI. That he wants to understand that relationship. Yep. Because when deals go bad, it's because the relationship is bad. And so if we've got all good relationships and they're verifiably good relationships, people go, well, why wouldn't I do this deal?
Right. And it's about the communication too. It's really about being full, you know, here it's full disclosure, full docs, right? Like, listen, we've got nothing to hide. Well, we know what, here's everything that we know. And, you know, if we don't know, we'll find out. But I mean, we really have done our job vetting the deal. You guys went to Hawkeye Towers.
Yes.
Spent a day, you know, people say, oh, you only spent a day there. Listen, we hire people that spend weeks there.
Yeah.
And so but when you go there, you get a new appreciation for it, right?
For sure. It brings a whole new level of realness to it. But like, we plan on spending multiple days there. And I look at multifamily properties locally here all the time, whether it's for us or clients or whatever, or just generalizing, looking at deals to see what the market's like and watching other investors do deals. Yep. We went out there, and no joke, within 4 hours or less, I look at him, I'm like, we can go home tonight. Like, this is the cleanest deal I've seen. This is like the cleanest property that I've seen. It's like
full brick construction. Like,
I almost feel like you set it up to me, like so that we were just like home run, like out of the park, and it was just like, this is too perfect.
Hey, so if it makes you feel any better, so I just we're almost finishing up with a deal with Corey Boatwright and Sean Terry, and I want to say they had the same exact experience.
Yeah.
They get there, and they're like, oh my God, like, this is awesome, right? Yeah. And so then, but they had a deal that we wanted to go look at that they had thought they found, and like, oh, I think this is a deal too. And I was like, I don't think it's a deal, but let's go. Yeah. And so we get there, and we're like, oh. And they're like, yeah, okay. And I actually did a podcast on that whole thing. And anyways, the short story is, we finally got back in the car. We get back to our property. They're like, oh my God, that's so much better. Like, we're back in the nice stuff, right? Because it was getting really sketch. Yeah. And here's a good example of, listen, people think that you got to buy this rundown piece of crap to make money in the multifamily world.
Right.
And that it's all Section 8 is where you got to make money, and you got to buy just these old ass properties. Yeah. And it's really not true, not even close.
No.
So we're buying a property that's already occupied, like a lot.
Yeah, when someone calls me on some of these, it's investors, a lot of people that are doing what we did, which is graduating up to the next level from single family to multifamily, right? And they're trying to find that first one. So they call me to partner on it or get some advice or, help them out. And the last 3-4 properties I've been through locally here were like 90% vacant, bums breaking in, broken windows, completely run down, needles on the ground, all that kind of stuff. And it's like, that's not just because you go flip and buy a rundown vacant property in single family doesn't mean you have to do that in multifamily.
Right.
And then
Now,
God, you taught us that, because that's kind of what you assume, that you have to find this typical value add remodel, and that's not always the case.
Hey, I just thought of something I got to share. Oh, God. I'm already laughing. I'm just thinking about it. Okay, so I'm going to bring up Rhyme Garden.
Oh my God.
So about 3 years ago, I called Greg and Matt up. I'm like, hey, listen, I want to partner on a deal with you, an apartment deal. And they're like, yeah, Corey, let's go. So I take him to this deal called Rhyme Garden in
Birmingham,
Alabama. And probably not the best type of deal. Now, I've learned since then that you don't bring new time investors into a brand new deal that's like a Rhyme Garden, because Rhyme Garden was going to be like a $4 million project. Now, we ended up not getting that thing under contract, but if we did, it would have made us millions. I mean, stupid millions of dollars. But it was something like, oh, you didn't have that warm and fuzzy at that property. And what makes it even better is we were all in the Hampton Inn shuttle bus, and we do a 360 in the middle of the interstate. Remember that?
Oh yeah, I remember it.
Oh my God! So this young kid, about 18, is driving the little shuttle bus, picks up Greg and Matt. I'm there. We're like, all right, we got them, and we're coming back, and like it never snows in Birmingham except for the time that we're there. And like, there's not even but like a half an inch of snow. See, now in Utah, this is not a big deal. Okay. Yeah. Like people know how to handle this stuff. Okay. But in Birmingham, Alabama, a half an inch is like 3 feet. Okay. And like things happen to the brain that they don't understand. And so this guy ends up getting on the brakes too hard and like real quick. And then all of a sudden the back end starts coming around. And luckily we're slowed down. But I mean, and right in the middle of the freeway, we do a full 360, dude.
Well, actually, I think it was because I remember looking at the traffic. It was a 180 because he went around. He did the 180, and we were staring at the traffic coming towards us.
That's right. We had to flip it around. Oh yeah. My God, dude! This guy, he didn't even know what he was like locked up. Yeah, and we're like, hey, do we need to drive, dude? Do we need to get?
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. So I don't know why I tell that story, but I thought about like the difference between the Hawkeye Towers. And here's what's cool about Hawkeye Towers is that I wasn't even with you guys. You guys went by yourself. I was actually in Hawaii living my sunsets and palm trees life. Yeah. And you guys went by yourself. But it was great because you got to experience it totally with, from your point of view and not with any outside influence, which would be me. Yeah. Right. And so you got to make your own assumptions. And I remember you calling me saying, dude, yeah. this is solid.
It was pretty obvious. We had planned to be there longer, as Matt said, but it's like when you're down there and AFI has got 7 people on the ground
with a command center built.
They're going to be
and all the tables.
Yeah, 3 days there. They've got their little ops center going. They got people going through every single unit. They've got a crew that's copying 300 leases and going through all of those. I mean, and then they've got a group of subcontractors that are coming in that are going to go through the whole project to verify what the CapEx expenditure is going to be. It's kind of like, why do we need to be here? This is like, we can look at it, it looks good, and we can move on.
You know what my favorite thing to do when I go to those things? I just like to buy dinner for everybody for AFI. Right? That's they always like, because I'm gonna buy it anyways. Right? I'm paying for it one way or the other.
Yeah.
But also is to just show them that the owner's here, right? Hey, what are you?
Right.
I'm just the guy that's paying for it. That's all. I mean, like, I just want to let you know that the owner is here, and then we'll see you next year, right? So we'll see you at the next deal, because it's always the same group of guys,
Yeah.
and they're good dudes. I mean, they're honestly. You guys met Dan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all really
Dan.
solid.
Dan's a former Marine. Highly trained Marine, and he's very passionate
Yeah.
about what he does.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's kind of funny because the owner of the property, the seller, was on site that day, and somehow down the line didn't get how intense this site visit was supposed to be, and
he thought we were going to kick the tires, right?
Yeah, exactly. And he apparently doesn't come on site very often. He's kind of it's an out-of-state project for him. But
he had flip-flops on.
Yeah, and he was quickly like, "Oh no, you can't go through them all. You can't do this, this, this." And AFI is like, they're solid dudes and they're smart, but they also don't take any bull crap. And they're like, "No, we're here. We flew out here. We're doing this. We gave you notice. One way or another, we're getting all this done." And the guy's like, "Okay." And it was just like, there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's pretty cool.
This previous seller was so hands-off that while we were there, it was the orientation. So the new students are coming in, right? The the community college across the street, which is right across the street, they call up and they say, "Are you guys going to have like a table over here or something? I mean, we got all kinds of people that are looking for accommodation, looking for apartments, and you're not over here." And they, oh, yeah, I guess we should get somebody over there. But I mean, how like retarded is that,
All the marketing is only in one place, right across the street, and the current owners group can't even get that right.
Yeah.
And so AFI, they called me about that. They're like, "Dude, listen, this is going to go way better than we expect. We're not going to have any issues. We think we can raise the rents just based on when we start doing our marketing campaign and doing it right. We'll have so many people wanting to come into this place. Right. It'll be easy, right? And even after, so I actually so I just went there, by the way. You guys maybe saw my video. So because even though couldn't make it while I was in Hawaii, I still got to go put my feet on the dirt as well. And so when I got there, I was smiling, ear to ear too. I was like, "Oh my God, I don't think I've ever seen such nice buildings. Yeah. Like it's full brick, the whole thing."
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, only in Iowa do we find that, right?
Yeah.
And dude, it's just, it's a solid property and doesn't even have a pool. I'm like, great, because like students would screw that up.
Yeah.
Did you arrange for that basketball game?
No, but it was there, and I was like, I talked with some of the kids there, like what they thought about the property. They liked it. I went to a tavern that night and talked to some. The bartender used to go to school there. I knew about those apartments. Actually, had stayed at those apartments.
Oh, too. Really?
Yeah. So she had some really good insight, and it was just and then we talked about the community and how that community college was so key in that they were smart in what they were doing, and it's growing, but they're providing the types of services that are really needed. So they have like drivers.
As far as truck driving school.
Yeah, truck driving school. They're heavy in trade stuff as well.
Right. Doctors, nursing, dentists, the truck driver school, police academy. And then the cool one that I thought was pretty cutting edge and caught me off guard was the gamers school. So they have a course and specific guideline for online gaming, which is blowing up and huge now. It seems weird, but they actually have a curriculum and a team, a sports team of gamers, which is there's one of the first in the country to offer that. So,
booyah!
Yeah, it gives me a hope that they're not necessarily behind the times, right? Some schools or some areas are not accustomed to or willing to change. They're already thinking a couple of steps ahead, which means that the longevity of the school is probably got a pretty good chance to continue growing and continue doing well. The school's newer, it was modern. It was, when I heard Waterloo, Iowa, I mean, the first call we did on this, I was like, Corey, what deal are you giving us here? Like, you know, I was not stoked to go out there. And when we went through, like, everything's newer, the buildings are newer, the buildings on site are modern. I was like, okay, this is actually a pretty cool little town.
It's a sleeper, dude. So
sleeper.
This is where most investors, that deal never fell on anybody's radar. And now, how did I get the deal? Because now this is the power of closing and transacting. Because I transacted in my Eagle Village property, right, in Indiana, like last year. The same brokers called me up and said, Corey, we got another deal. And I thought they said from the same seller, but it's not the same seller. Right. But anyways, they're like, hey, we know that it's a lot like the deal you just bought. We want you in the deal. And so they queued me up. We didn't even have a highest and best. Like, I didn't have to compete with any other investors on this deal.
Yeah.
And but then once we looked at the demographics of Waterloo, Iowa, it's a little smaller than we would market than we normally do. And our only caveat for us is we weren't able to get 75% leverage. We had to get 65% leverage, which means we have to put a little bit more money in the game.
Yeah.
But we still looked at the numbers, and the numbers still work with that factored in. And I mean, this will be a legacy property. We could probably keep this one for as long as we want until it just makes like our spider sense tingling and says sell for a maximum and make that $10 million profit. Like,
right.
And dude, that's the power of like the whole team and the relationships that we've built, even with AFI, with you guys. And when we bring it all together, I mean, magic happens.
Yep. Well, and one of the things that I never really realized the impact that these deals have, because no one ever talks about it, is the tax impact. And me being a tax guy from way back, it's like, that's a big deal to me. But when I found out that in the first year, you could write off over $3 million on this deal, like through accelerated depreciation, that can be offset against other income, and that flows through to all the investors. It's like, oh, this is big. You know, it's not just a 12% return, but it's also the benefit that you get from that tax savings.
Yeah.
Huge. It's really good number.
Hey, we just did my podcast. I just did last episode 40. We can listen to Duckett and Ladd, Bill Ladd. We just talked about cost segregation on that podcast. So check that one out for sure, because it directly just talks about, and for everybody that's listening right now too, when you get home or whatever, go Google Hawkeye Towers, Waterloo, Iowa, so you can see this property, because it is, I mean, it really is a really gem in my mind of what you can do. Like, so 2005, 2006 construction, we're making money from the day we buy it, and our income will only go up, because like we're going to raise rents. Tenants expect rents to go up, and we never disappoint them.
Yeah, right. Well, and the other beauty is that it's all students that have their parents backing their lease. So it's not like you got a bunch of students and they're going to, crap on their lease or whatever. It's like, no, when we were down there, we're sitting in the show suite, and the parents are bringing the students through, right?
Yeah.
It's not the students that are asking any questions. The parents are asking the questions from the leasing agent. They're the ones that are going to be paying for this place, right?
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Right.
And the other cool thing is like, you'd say it's 75 units. Again, when you first brought us the deal, I was like, oh, this is like the smaller side of what you deal with. But then it's like, oh, but we have 296 leases. And if you raise rent $15 or $25 per lease, no one's going to leave. That's not going to upset the market. That's a pretty dramatic effect on your NOI if you do that every couple or every year.
Big time.
Yeah. And
because you're doing it per room. So it's even so like our cost to operate still the same as if it was like an apartment building, but our rent income is like 3 times the amount because we're doing it by the room.
Yeah. And then a really good point that AFI brought up as we were talking about them is that, we look at the different things of what can go wrong, worst case scenarios, Well, right now we don't have much competition. There's a property next door that wasn't built as student housing. It's studios. It's not comparable in the sense that's the only other one available right across the street, but it's just not quite as nice or new. If they remodel and raise rents, guess what? We're still better than them. We get a raise rents. If someone comes in and says, oh, there's a huge need for more student housing, let's build a project. They build a nice new project. They come in at market rents, and then we look like we're a smoking deal and we can raise rents again. So there's not a lot that can go really wrong about who can come in and do what, you know?
I didn't look at the plot plan, but do we have any room to build on the backside?
There's vacant land all over, yeah.
I mean, so I always wonder, I wonder if because
I don't know if it's on our property as far as if we have.
I looked at the last. I'm gonna check it out. I want to check it out, see if there's any space.
Well, it's surrounded by cornfields.
Yeah.
There's nothing but corn.
So say, hey, we need another. Get the landowner to give us another 100 foot. And we just add some more units, right?
Yep.
I mean, God, it's a beautiful thing.
Yep.
So, hey, this has been a fun show, man. So, I know there's people that are wanting to know, like, because you guys know so much, and I know you guys don't really teach, but how do people, if they want to get a hold of you or figure you out, like, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you guys?
Just
or find you.
Email would be the best probably, and then from there we can kind of chat further if we need to. But yeah, we're an open book. Yeah, like you said, we don't sell anything. I'm not a big info guy. I put my money where my mouth is. I make money off of helping people and doing deals with people, you know.
Amen to that, brother.
If people want to reach out, it's Matt or Greg. So that Matt or Greg at themovegroup.com. Move is with a U. So TheMovegroup, themovegroup.com.
So
what about your guys' website? Where's your website at?
Themovegroup.com as well. Yep.
Okay.
So it's Matt at themovegroup.com or Greg at themovegroup.com.
Yeah, perfect. Anything else you guys want to add?
No, just thanks for having us.
Dude, this has been an awesome treat because, we've never really told this story publicly to anybody. But I mean, we got a really cool story. I mean, we started as friends. We went to seminars together. I remember going to where you guys, when we went to San Diego, you guys, it was a Real Flow.
Real Flow, yeah.
Real Flow, yeah. Yeah, right.
And Fan Merrill was there. Greg Clement,
yeah.
Jeff Watson. That's where you guys met Jeff Watson, who helped you guys get into Collective Genius. And then you guys got me into Collective Genius as a referral.
Right.
And all because of that. Everything that I can really attribute to my success, part of it, you guys have had a little piece of it in every step.
Right.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Hey, and here's the fun thing. We're just getting started.
Yeah.
I mean, we are just now starting to get some traction on some stuff that the legacy part of what we're doing, like we've been grinding for a long time. And this is what I talk about for everybody that's listening to my podcast about the hustle and grind. You guys know it well. I know it well. It's real.
Yeah.
Right. And like, we both have kind of made commitments to like, let's work smarter, not harder. And let's get stuff that comes in time and time again. So like, Matt, with your development stuff, those are big paychecks that you're doing, but you're also doing it with your money because you're just seeing a piece of vacant land. So, some of their stuff's a little bit different, but on stuff that you're just improving the land, that's really an idea to improve it.
I'm selling take a vacant. I'm kind of the visionary. That's one of my best attributes, I guess you could say, that makes me the most money is my ability to envision what could be and taking from a bird's eye perspective, whether it's the city or a neighborhood or whatever, and what can be a good addition to that area. And I come up with that. I do all the research and I put together a very well thought out presentation that's basically a vision. And then I sell that vision to somebody. So for me to be able to make good money off of just coming up with a really good, clear idea and then properly conveying that idea, that's right up my alley.
Yeah. No, and I think, you do it better than anybody I've seen. Honestly, hands down, you truly have a gift of that. That's amazing. And so like you've been making good chunks of money, like a lot more money. That's your add a zero to it the first time.
Yep.
And then partnering with me, I guarantee we're adding another zero, if not two.
Yeah, it's
right?
It's really a monopoly, right? Like, because I take that money to active income and we're rolling it into safer long-term legacy money and adding, you take this where we went from wholesale flips wholesales to development wholesales and adding a zero from that to there, and then adding another zero by taking it into the commercial real estate. And it's just, monopoly. Trade up some houses for some, commercial, and then trade some commercial for some bigger commercial.
When we look,
relationships equal monopoly. That's the name of the segment.
When we were looking at the ways, because we really got tired of paying taxes, okay?
Right.
And most people that hit our levels, taxes can take a big chunk, right?
Yeah.
And so we started really building up the retirement accounts and saying we're going to do more deals in retirement accounts because we didn't have to pay taxes in those retirement accounts. These are Roth, IRAs, and 401ks. No tax because of my age. We're just going to do our deals there until we found out about this, okay? Because there is enough tax shelter that comes off of these deals. So we're doing development deals. Let's say you make $300,000-$400,000 on a development deal.
Right.
It's very conceivable that you don't have to pay any tax on that because you can shelter it from the apartment deals that you take.
Right. So let's give a quick example. Let's use University Hawkeye, right? So we get a $3 million write-off. We take $1.5 million, right? Because the other half goes to our investors.
Right.
And so we'll call our relationship a 50-50. So for easy math, right? Yeah. That's $750 for me.
Yeah.
And $750 for you.
Right.
Right. So you can offset, because we're both real estate professionals.
Right. We
can offset any additional income with that write-off. Let's say we only make first year of the apartment business, we get an acquisition fee of $100K, and maybe we make $50,000 in cash flow a piece, right? Right. Yeah. So that's $150, but you made $400,000 off your regular business.
Yep.
Right.
Zero taxes.
Boom. Like, hold on.
And we did, and conceivable that in that process, we did 2, maybe 3 deals the entire year. That's a good
Listen, times that times 3 deals.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Now that's $2.1 million. And now the real question is, what happens if you don't get to use it all?
Yeah. Then you get to carry it forward to the next year.
Damn right. And every year until it runs out. Indefinitely.
And then here's the beauty of it. When you sell the properties, you pay capital gains tax on them. So the tax, if you do end up having to pay tax, it's a lot less tax, or you can roll it like you just did, roll it into another deal and defer that tax. But you're always going to be paying capital gains tax on it.
Well, unless you 1031.
Yeah.
Right. And we just had a discussion on the 1031 process, because sometimes that's good. Sometimes it all depends on the numbers of how what do you have to recapture. But now here's the great thing about this is that's another partnership, right? Like, we don't do this in the apartment world, even though it seems complicated, and it's not as complicated as everybody thinks it is, but you just create relationships. So you guys found a really great cost seg guy that's even saving me money from the cost seg guy that I had. So I'm like, and he's local to me. Yeah. I'm like, perfect. Let's go use him. And he's very knowledgeable, and he's working with our CPA, Duckett and Ladd. Yeah. And like, so then we got smart guy, smart CPA, smart cost seg guy. Everybody's getting together, communicating with us. All that does is create wins for everybody, because now we're playing at a very high level. And that's what smart business owners, when you become, the problem with fix and flip, this is why I know it's dead. It should be dead. If you're thinking about doing it, just don't do it.
It's dead for us, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Because it's playing at a small level.
Right.
Yeah.
When you play at this bigger level, it's so much easier, because at the low level, you do all the work.
Yep.
At the big level, you have professionals that do 95% of it.
Yep.
And the only thing that we're really bringing is our intellectual property and our contacts and our our networks and our ability to raise capital.
Yep.
And because of that, we get 95% of the spoils.
Yep. It's a good way to live life.
Dude, that's called stepping it up and adding a zero.
Yep.
All right. Hey, so listen, for all my listeners out there, hopefully you've enjoyed this this episode 41 of the Multifamily Legacy Podcast. As always, if you've not done so, go to that quick start workshop at kahunawealthbuilders.com right now and get your free quick start workshop. It's free. If you don't do it, you're stupid. Okay. And the other thing is, if you've not done so, man, I've been needing some 5-star reviews on iTunes. I know it takes some time. Matt and Greg, if you've not left me one, I'm gonna tell you right now, you got to go on iTunes and 5-star me. But leave a little comment. Let us know, because, dude, when I get that stuff, I love reading it, and it shows me that you care. But the real truth is, that's going to be how we're going to save the world, because we need everybody and their friends to know about this powerful thing that we call apartments, that it can truly create legacy wealth and a lifestyle that most people only dream about. And I've searched far and wide. I feel like everybody has the same 2 goals. They want time and money. Right? Guys, right? Okay.
Yeah, time, money, and happiness.
And happiness, right? We'll call it the 3, right? And the only thing that I found that gets you there the quickest is real estate. But it's not just real estate. It's multi-family apartments. Guys, if you believe it, you can achieve it. Your paradise is possible.